All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 45 of the Yellow Card Podcast, presented to you by Couch Guy Sports, sponsored by Exo Gun. With you, as always, your host, Diego Galvez, joined by Chris Jones, Andrew Fasciano. Fellas, good morning. Happy Sunday. What a weekend we've had. How you guys doing?
A little banged up, a little tired. I mean, not as bad as you two, apparently, but
we're in August now. We're turning a new leaf, right?
Yeah, this August is hitting us hard for some odd reason, weather-wise and everything wise. So, but hey, we're still here. We're out here grinding. That's all that matters. So like I said, episode 45 is sponsored by the fellows at Exogun, great friends of the network. If you don't know what Exogun is, you need to get familiar. Go to exogun.com. Use the code CGS10 for a 10% discount off your order today. Phenomenal product, perfect for those days when you need a massage, just right deep into the muscle and all that stuff. That gun is perfect for what you need to take care of. It's portable, adjustable. The pros use it. Why not? Use the code again, CGS10 for 10% discount today. All right, so we've had quite a week so far in soccer, even though the focus isn't as much in there, but there is still a lot to talk about today. So let's start off with the Olympics, because I feel like the Olympics haven't been getting the justice coverage that they should be getting. We got to start off with the U.S. women national team. They had a phenomenal game just this past week in a 2-2 tie all the way through 120 minutes. And then penalties. The girl, the one and only Megan Rapinoe, takes us to the semifinals. Andrew, I know you watch this. I know you follow this. You're a big U.S. women national team supporter. I think I am, but you're way bigger than I am. What were your thoughts on there?
Yeah, it was a tight matchup between U.S. and Netherlands, which probably was to be expected, considering that was the Netherlands were the team that they faced in the last World Cup final. So they knew that team, they knew what they were about, and they knew they were going to bring their A game for that matchup. And like you said, Diego, it went right down to the wire, 2-2, all the way to penalties. Alyssa Nair came up with a couple big saves in that shootout. Like you said, Megan Rapinoe was able to convert the winner and send the USA through. So they're now into the semifinals, which means no matter what, they'll have a shot to play for a medal, whether it's gold or bronze. Actually, all three teams left in the tournament, apart from the US, are pretty familiar opponents, because Canada, of course, is another North American team, and then Australia and Sweden were both in the USWNT's group to start out this tournament. So they have recent history against all three of these teams, so nothing should come as a surprise really at this point in the tournament. As we all know, Sweden beat the USA pretty handily to start the tournament, 3-0. So if that is a matchup that happens at some point down the line, you'd have to think that the USA is going to want to make adjustments to avoid having the same fate happen again. But then Australia as well, they drew with them 0-0. So that was a very competitive game, and Canada is a solid team as well. So I think this tournament has been a little bit different from a couple of the past Olympics, in that the USWNT doesn't quite feel as invincible as they did maybe in past years. So I think pretty much anything is possible at this point. There should be 4 really good games left in this tournament, and hopefully the USA will come out with gold. But also, I think it's fair to say at this point, it wouldn't be a huge surprise if one of the other teams takes it, which hasn't always been the case in women's soccer at the Olympics.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think it would be full circle if, like you said, the U.S. getting absolutely smoked by Sweden at the start of this tournament, to then, God forbid, let's say it's U.S. versus Sweden. It's like full revenge. Like it'd be a phenomenal final to watch for that gold medal. So I agree with you there. I think sneakily enough, Australia is the one that, like, out of the 4 that are final there, Australia is like the one that everyone's like sleeping on, but like they are physically tough. They are super fast and very physically tough. So it'll be a very exciting semifinals here for the Olympics. Speaking of excitement, so as we all know, the Yellow Card Podcast is a very New England based podcast. And speaking of New England, the New England Revolution continue their streak on building excitement around New England for the Revolution. I was the DJ for the opening full capacity tailgate that we had against Montreal. What a game that was. I went to it as well. But this week they played against the New York Red Bulls, and boy, what a game. Down in the first half, they're losing 1-0. The boys really put their A game together. Say we need to win this. We need to do this now. 3-2 full time is the score in favor of the Revolution. Some of the key players that like are just phenomenal right now. I mean, if they're playing without their key pieces like Tajon Buchanan and all these other guys, because of their duties that they have going on in the Gold Cup. But can we talk about how good Carlos Gil is right now? Can we please get into that, because this guy's just a magician with the ball. Jones, I know you want in on this, so let's hear that lovely voice of yours.
I just wanted to add some clarity to the disrespect of Matt Turner's name. You mentioned him as the other guys.
Oh, yeah, it's not disrespect. I just mentioned Tajon Buchanan as one of the guys that it's out there.
You should have mentioned Matt Turner's name.
Yes,
because Brad Knighton's done a good job in net. Don't get me wrong, but Matt Turner is going to be the goaltender that's going to lead them to the promised land this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He was a big reason why they made it to the Eastern Conference Final last year, and I think we're going to see a little bit more of the same this year if they keep this up. I think the trio up front of Buska, Bo, and Gil have just progressed so well together that I feel like anytime they're on the pitch together, something dangerous is going to happen. And as well, we also have AJ Delagaza, who's literally played left back, right back, and center back, showed his versatility like he told us on the podcast when we had him on back a few months ago. So that's also been a big help for them as well.
Yeah.
So with them missing 3 of their key pieces and still being able to go on this run against a team like the Red Bulls, I think it looks very good. And with their schedule coming up as well, you got Nashville, who's not the greatest this year. Or am I saying no? Wait. No, Nashville's 4th. Excuse me. I'm thinking of.
I was gonna say Nashville's doing decently.
You get Nashville, you get Philly, and you get Toronto, who recently has beaten in the next 3 games. So I think those are some key games coming up that I think that we can see New England taking a step forward and trying to do what they can to continue this streak.
Yep, I agree with that. I mean, you mentioned right down the point too. You got De La Garza, who's shown his versatility all throughout these games. I mean, he came in for the Montreal game after an injury to what's his name? Why am I drawing a blank? Anyways, he came in during the Montreal game and really, really controlled the pace in the defensive back. Was able to cover at times for center back position and his own position. He was just a solid defender in the back four. Does it again this time against New York, playing center back with Andy Farrell as well. So the guy is really an example of leadership and what he's capable to do. And this is something that you kind of needed all day long in the Revolution. You got a lot of great veterans, but you needed somebody with that additional spark, that versatility that he mentions so often, and that somebody who has had so much experience too, because he's played all across in many other teams across the league. So he's got that flavor around to bring of, okay, we could try this something new that I tried here. Maybe this will fit in here. and clearly Bruce just trusts him a lot, and that's something that you definitely want in a player. I was thoroughly happy to see Adam Buksa be back in this game. He left the Montreal game because of a call that honestly, I think it should have been a yellow card at least to the goalie. Unfortunately, Buksa got out of the game, supposedly with a concussion, but he was fine. Returned to training, did just fine, and score a goal, which is what matters here. Andrew, what about you? What are your thoughts on the Revolution right now?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's still relatively early in the season. The Revs have played 17 games at this point, but if you want to think about candidates for end of season awards, I feel like that's a very good benchmark for where the Revs are at right now. Because if you want to talk about the best goalie in the MLS, the discussion starts and ends with Matt Turner, I think. So there's one. If you want to talk about league MVP, Carlos Gil has to be at least in the top three, if not the clear favorite, I think, with how good he's been creatively creating chances, and he can just do everything in this league. And then if you want to talk about top scorer, I think Gustavo Bo is one goal off the lead right now at this point in the season. So he's right in that discussion as well. You have essentially some of the best players in their positions in the league all teaming up together on this Revs team, which is really exciting proposition, I think. And it's been a little while since this has been the case. This team is really hitting its stride right now. I think last season, like Chris said, it was a teaser for what this team could do when they're all healthy and clicking and firing on all cylinders, which is what has happened. And there's no two ways about it. They're the best team in the league right now. They have the most points through 17 games. No one else in the East is really close at this point. Orlando has 28 points with 16 games played, so they're a little bit off the pace. And then out west, Seattle has 32 and 17, so they're 4 points clear of everyone else in the league right now.
And Seattle kind of took a step back too with that recent draw. So
yeah, true. It's very impressive, and I think a name that we mentioned earlier, Adam Buksa, I think he has stepped up really nicely this year.
Big time.
They brought him in as one of their designated players, so you need production from someone who's taking up that sort of role in the salary cap. And I think it's fair to say that last season he didn't quite live up to those expectations. But this season he's taken a big step forward, and he's their second leading scorer behind Gustavo Bo, and he's second in minutes per goals as well. So he's getting a lot of time and he's doing a lot with it, which is really nice to see, because when they have him, Bo, and Carlos Gil all clicking together, it's a very scary thought in attack for them.
Yeah. And just look at the Revolution's record right now: 11 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. That's nearly as perfect as you're gonna get in the MLS. The second best record behind that is Seattle Sounders with 9-5-3, same goal differential. But I don't know. I at this point, it's like the Revolution. I just like you said, firing on all cylinders and clear ahead of the path of, okay, we're going in deep for this. We want this. So who knows? We might finally see a title here. We might finally see a title here in New England. All right, so enough simping on the New England Revolution. Now let's go over to
more simping on the Revolution, please.
Let's go to the old England. Let's jump the pond a little bit and let's talk about transfers going on in the European leagues. We know there's one major transfer still pending, rumored to be basically done, but needs to be officially done, which is Jack Grealish to Manchester City. If that happens, it's oblivion in the English Premier League at this point. But what are some other transfers that you guys are excited to see happening and that you guys would really love to just be completed before the season start? I'm going to start with you, Chris.
I'm still waiting on James Madison to go
Arsenal, right?
to Arsenal. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the one big one that I'm waiting for right now, because I feel like the Harry Kane stuff, we're sitting there and we're looking, and it's not coming together. So I feel like to start the season, I think James Maddison to Arsenal would be a big stepping stone for Arsenal to be back a little bit, especially with them not having to worry about the Europa League, no like midseason, no like midweek tournaments or anything like that. The only thing you play in this year is the Carabao Cup, and then you play in the FA Cup. That's it. That's all you have to worry about. Then you worry about the Premier League. They get a guy like James Maddison. I think it's a statement signing for Arsenal. I think that's a big time signing that they need. But if they can't, I wouldn't be surprised if they're calling West Brom for Mateus Pereira as well. Like they need some help in the midfield. And you know, when they brought in Thomas Partey, he's been solid for them, but they need other additional help, especially when you're not bringing back a guy like Grant Xhaka as well. So there's so many different aspects of it that you need to look at. So for me, I'm looking at that because personally, I don't see Jack Grealish. I still see Jack Grealish in Aston Villa. I don't see him going to Manchester City. And if he does, then we're going to be looking at Bernardo Silva going somewhere. Where's Bernardo Silva going to go? You know what I mean? So there's plenty of things that have to fall, but at the same time, I don't really see anything big happen.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Because if they get Jack Grealish, Harry Kane is not going to be able to go there. The money's not going to work.
Yep.
So,
what about you, Andrew? What are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, well, off the bat, I hope you're right, Chris, about Jack Grealish staying at Aston Villa for two reasons. One, if Man City added Jack Grealish, I don't know if they'd ever lose a title again, at least in the near future. So for parity in the league, I hope he stays put. But then also, I feel like there's sort of been the whole storyline with Jack Grealish is that he's kind of living the dream, captaining his boyhood club into the Premier League. And now they're really kind of finding their own feet in this league and building a really solid team. I mean, you look at some of the additions that they've made with Buendia coming in from Norwich. They just officially announced the signing of Leon Bailey from Leverkusen. They've gotten some help in the midfield as well. I feel like they have a very strong team on paper heading into this season. And as an Everton fan, I feel like they have a team that is pretty worrying to me because I feel like they're progressing past where Everton is in some ways. So it would kind of, for a team that has a very exciting storyline and a lot of momentum that they're building, it would kind of put a damper on that big time for them to lose their big piece, who's their captain. So those are the two reasons why I would like him to stay. And I think it's still very much possible that he will stick around for Aston Villa. So we'll have to see whether or not that happens. But going to Arsenal as well, I thought that bringing in Ben White was a pretty interesting move. Their center back grouping has, I think, needed some improvement for a while. And Ben White was very, very good, I think, for Leeds in the Championship, and then also good again for Brighton last year in the Premier League. They paid £50 million, I think, for him, which is a very interesting point for the discussion of like valuing players. It's sometimes more about how much the player is worth to the club who has them than how much that player actually is worth in a vacuum. Like the obvious comparison would be Man United got Varane for like 35 million to start with, and he's won everything there is to win. Ben White has not, but for Brighton, he's a very important player, so they can ask for 50 million because that's how much he's worth to them at this point in time. But I think he will help Arsenal a lot, and I think he can be a big piece for them building out from the back. I think I'm kind of with Chris in that we might not see huge moves for the rest of the window. I don't know. It's kind of had a strange feeling this window where there's been a lot of movement going on, but somehow it's not like the big high-end transfers that we expected, to some degree at least. Man United got Sancho, which was pretty huge. Varane going to Man United as well was also big. So there have been some huge ones, but when we came into the window, like Messi, Harry Kane, and Grealish were some big names that were talked about. So we'll see whether or not we get one of those huge splashes.
I want it on the record. Diego can attest this because I was telling this during the middle of the season. I was like, there's going to be 2 signings that you guys should focus on. Focus. Keyword here is focus. Not that you were going to get. I said there was 2 signings that you should focus on. And that was getting Jadon Sancho, which you did. And that was getting Rafael Varane to help Harry Maguire, which you did. So when we start to talk about the Premier League conversation next year, Manchester United was already in it, but now they're slowly bolstering their chance to get their first title since Sir Alex Ferguson was the coach.
Yep.
But again, it's all going to rely on one person and one person only.
Who's that according to you?
Who do you think it is according to me?
How Solskjaer does this lineup?
Yep. 100%. 100%. Because if he doesn't win a trophy with this team that they've constructed for him, if he doesn't win a trophy, at least a trophy, it doesn't matter what trophy it is. It could be the Carabao Cup for crying out loud. But if he doesn't get at least a trophy this year, even though he signed that extension, he shouldn't be the coach of this team.
I agree with that.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
No, I agree with that.
But that was my hot take on Manchester United. I hate to say I was right about stuff that they needed. They made it. They made it happen. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen at points because of the fact of how their front office is. But it happened. Now we're excited. Can't wait to see it.
All right. So the Chris Jones self-bragging segment has ended.
It wasn't a self-brag. I was telling you that
I'm just messing with you.
You needed this, and this, and you got this, and this.
Yep. All right. So any other thoughts? Because the next segment that I think that we have is it's a pretty fun one. And I'm actually just been jotting down names that I would want, but I want to see if there's anything outstanding thoughts at the moment.
Not that I know of.
All right. So we're going to jump into a little fun exercise here just because we're excited about the Premier League coming up, which we'll get to talk far more in the upcoming weeks. But I figured with the current signings that we know that are already in the Premier League, I figured we jump into a little bit of a fantasy Premier League team. So basically what we're going to do is each of us is going to draw their starting 11. If you guys want to add a bench, you guys can. If you guys don't want to add a bench, it is what it is. But figure we do a starting 11 with a coach as well, and give you guys our thoughts on what our fantasy Premier League team will look like. So,
so should we do like kind of like a draft where we can't draft the same people? Or just kind of do like a fantasy, like this is how I want my team to be built. Like, should we just like look at like a list and then just kind of build a team around it based off of what the other two pick? Or should we just give like a fantasy, like this is what I think the best starting 11 in the Premier League football would be next year?
I think that the best starting 11 for the Premier League.
Okay.
So whoever is ready can go first.
I'm thinking I have like 2 things in my head that I'm contemplating on. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, while we do this, let's discuss a little bit.
Okay.
Let's have a conversation.
Why don't we go? What if we went by positions? Is that way we don't have to do it all at once? So what if we did like goalkeeper and defense to start, and we each gave our goalkeeper and defense?
Why don't we? Let's do the same. This is poorly planned on us by why don't we do the same formation? Let's agree on a formation that we should do right now.
Okay.
4-2-3-2. That's my thoughts.
4-2-3-2 works for me.
4-2. You mean a 4-2-3-1?
Yeah, 4-2-3-1.
Are you talking like the Ole Gunnar formation? Because 4-2-3-2 doesn't add up to me.
No, it doesn't. 4-2-3-1, I think, is what.
Yeah, there you go. 4-2-3-1. Sorry.
Also, by the way, that's another thing. Ole's going to have to change his formations up a little bit with the team he has constructed.
And I can't wait. And I can't wait. It needs to be a 4-3-3 formation desperately.
Okay, listen.
Desperately.
If you get Sancho and Rashford on your wings,
it's game over. It's game over.
You have Greenwood and or Cavani and your striker. You have Bruno Fernandes leading your midfield.
Yep.
Ole, let's talk, my friend. All right. Let's do goalkeeper first. Everybody do their goalkeeper first.
Andrew?
I think, especially for fantasy, you could have the best goalkeeper in the world, but if they're playing behind a not that great defense, they're not going to keep as many clean sheets. So I'm thinking about what goalkeepers are playing in front of the best or playing behind the best defenses. I think I'd either go Ederson at City or Mendy at Chelsea, and I'll go with Ederson at City.
So for goalkeepers at my end, I have two choices, and I'm not going to base it on defense. I'm going to base it on their performance and who outshined for me as of last season in these current competitions that we saw, like Copa America and Euro 2020. For me, is between Edouard Mendy and Emiliano Martinez. I'm going to go with Mendy.
I'm going to go in a different route here. I like, don't get me wrong, I do like Eduardo Mendy from Chelsea. I do like Ederson from City. But I think we're going to see a big bounce back year from my boy here.
Allison.
I think
it was going to be Allison
Becker. I think Allison Becker is going to have a much better performance this year. I think, during last season, he had the loss of his father. He had a bunch of stuff going on mentally that now I think this year he's going to be locked in and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with for Liverpool. So for me, I'm going to say Allison's going to be my goaltender.
Okay. All right. Who's jotting down the teams? Are you, Chris?
Yeah, I got it. Right. So let's do boop. Okay, we got Allison. Diego said Mendy.
Yep.
Andrew, you said
Ederson.
Correct.
Yep.
All right.
All right, we're ready off to a hot start. I like it.
Right back, center back, left back.
Yep.
Right back first, please.
Mine is just a clear choice. Kyle Walker. I love Wan-Bissaka, but it's Kyle Walker.
Andrew?
I'm going to go with Reece James from Chelsea. I think he had a good year last year, and I think he can build on it again this year.
I like that. I'm trying to think. I'm contemplating between Matty Cash was a good one last year. Does he have the same this year? But I don't want to go homer again here, but I do like Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah. No,
so I'm gonna go TAA there.
I mean, just do the Liverpool lineup, Chris. That's fine.
No, I'm trying not to, but it just looks good for that right there.
Yeah.
All right, center backs. Diego, give me one.
I'm gonna go in a different route here. I'm gonna give you both of mine.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you Rafael Varane and Virgil Van Dijk for center backs.
Okay. I'll go. I am debating on one of the City ones between Diaz and John Stones. I think I'm going to take Ruben Diaz for one. And then I think, again, with my boy Virgil coming back, if he's fully healthy 100%, I think he's going to be the best center back in the league again. Virgil is my second center. I've drawn a blank.
All right. I
said
was also
Diaz.
thinking Ruben Diaz from City.
Wait, so give it a second. Chris, can you repeat again your Virgil Van Dijk take? Because for some odd reason, it came in and out.
Audio cut out.
Yeah.
I can hear you
me now?
fine, yeah.
Okay. All right. Virgil Van Dijk, if he's fully healthy, is going to be back and being the best center back in the league this year.
Okay.
All right. Andrew?
Yeah, so I'm going Ruben Diaz from Man City, and then a little bit of Tyrone Mings from Aston Villa. I think he had a nice year last year, was pretty good at the Euros, and with the additions they've made to their team, I feel like he could have another good year this year.
Okay. Left back. I'll start. Diego, this one's for you. He's very good on that left back position. Very good.
I mean, it is who I'm thinking.
We saw it when he played for England. Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
He is too good. Too good right now. Luke Shaw.
Yep. I agree with that. And it's not to toot my horn on Manchester United, but Luke Shaw has just been a phenomenal left wing. It's impossible not to give him his credit.
Listen, that's the first Manchester United player Oh no, it's the second.
Second.
Sorry, I wrote
Second.
Shaw. I wrote Shaw under Andrew's name. Andrew, are you taking Shaw? Or are you going somewhere else?
I'm not taking Luke
Okay.
Shaw.
Would you like to tell us who you're taking?
I would, yeah. This is my one realistic opportunity to have an Everton player in my team.
know who it is.
I'm going with my main man, Luca Dean, the Frenchman,
Yeah.
at left back.
Yep.
That sounds about right. Okay. Let's move on to in the 4-2-3 we have defensive midfielders.
Yeah.
So let's give me your two defensive midfielders, please.
All right. I'm going with Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips.
Okay. Andrew?
Those are both good choices. I think I'm going to go with James Ward-Prowse from Southampton.
Oh, shit. Wow, what a name.
The free kicks might grab me some extra points there.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? I'm going to put Paul Pogba in there. I feel like sometimes being away with the national team does him good in his returns to the club level. So I feel like he's going to come back refreshed for this season.
So I think the first one I'm going to take N'Golo Kante.
Ooh, good choice.
Just because he's just such a great all-around defender.
He is.
At the midfield position, that's definitely the type of guy that you want to have there. In fantasy, block shots and all that stuff as well. I'm gonna go a little bit different here. I'm gonna actually take. I'm gonna take Wilfred Ndidi from Leicester City.
Ndidi, all right.
That's who I'm gonna take for my center defensive mid. All right, let's.
Good pick.
Now you got your attacking midfielders. Who wants to go first on that?
I know the three players I want to take. I'm just struggling to figure out whether or not I can fit them all.
Listen, it doesn't matter because in a 4-2-3-1, you can have any of your attacking midfielders wherever. Even if they play like wing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you want to have it's the Manchester United form. It works sometimes.
All right, my guys are going to drift around a little bit.
That's fine.
I'm going to have Jack Grealish out on the left. No matter where he's playing, I think he'll have a big year. And then in the center and on the right, they can flip if they want. Kevin De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes. I think both of those guys will be very productive this season again.
Grealish, De Bruyne, and Fernandez. Gotcha. All right. Who else? Diego, you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go. So I got Sancho, Fernandez, and Jack Grealish. I wanted to go with De Bruyne, but Jack Grealish has just been performing at another level.
So I'm gonna obviously take Bruno Fernandes because I think that's the smart play there. I think we're gonna get another solid year out of this guy, so I'm gonna take Ilkay Gundogan.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And then I am actually going to take. Like I've been hyping up Jack Grealish all show, but for me, Jack Grealish is so much better on the field than he is on the stat sheet. So I think that's why I'm going to leave him off. And I think who I'm going to take, actually,
Sadio Mane.
No, I'm going to take. I'm going to take. Yeah, I wouldn't consider him like an attacking midfielder. That's my issue.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Give me Kevin De Bruyne. I'll ride Andrew's coattails. Give me De Bruyne. All right, forward.
For me, it's a clear choice, man. This guy has been on a tear since being promoted to the English Premier League way back. Has not slowed down, and I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. It's Jamie Barty.
Andrew?
This is a tough one for me because I think Vardy is a very good pick. I feel like maybe on paper the front runner would be Harry Kane, but there's a lot of question marks around Harry Kane right now because we don't really know whether or not he's going to be at Tottenham, what's going to happen there. You know what? I think that Alexander Lacazette for Arsenal is going to have a big season this year and get lots of fantasy points.
I like that. I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction here. I think the guy I'm going to go with is definitely going to be the big goal scorer of that team. But I also can see him being able to contribute to his team as well and getting players open, being able to create opportunities for his teammates. And I think with some of the signings that they've made, I think he could very well be a 20-goal scorer this year. I'm going to take Patrick Bamford from Leeds.
Oh,
I like that.
All right. Let's throw in a fun little jab here. Manager. Fantasy manager. Who are you taking?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ollie, but coffee's for closers, man. I'm going with Pep Guardiola.
Andrew, should I write Rafa Benitez for you?
I do not think you should do that quite. Let's give it some time first. I'm going to go with Thomas Tuchel. I think I expect some pretty big things out of Chelsea with Tuchel at the helm for the full season this year. And I also think that he kind of showed that if there's one manager in the Premier League that can game plan for Man City, last season he showed that it was him. So I'm going Tuchel.
Again, I'm going redemption story this year. I'm taking the team's healthy. Hopefully it stays healthy. I'm taking my boy, Jurgen Klopp.
Yep, that's another good choice.
Yeah.
So that is our fantasy draft. Other forwards that I was thinking of as well that weren't like the higher names. I was thinking of like Danny Ings, who just scores at will. I think Richarlison's going to have a big year for Everton as well. Aubameyang's another one we could have talked about.
Yeah,
you know, there are Paulette like Wilfred Zaha. There are plenty of players and pieces that we could be talking about.
I mean, realistically, realistically, you could have thrown Timo Werner into the mix as well. He was phenomenal for Chelsea.
He was good again, but he's like Jack Grealish last year. He was good, but just not on the stat sheet. Like if you look at like goals and assists, it wasn't the greatest. But when he was on the pitch, he was just a difference maker.
Yep. No, I agree with that.
I thought of after I made my pick, and kind of I think I might want to switch my pick to this guy, is Ollie Watkins from Villa. If you think about all the wide players they brought in, he's going to be getting unbelievable service this season, and he was pretty good last season anyways.
I agree.
Yeah, like on my bench I literally wrote down Bissaka for right winger, Aubameyang for forward, as well as Timo Werner. I had Ruben Diaz on my bench, Emiliano Martinez, Sadio Mane, and Jordan Henderson.
I was thinking more so for my bench. I went with 5 names. I went with a backup forward, which I was going to take Calvert-Lewin.
Yep.
I went backup goaltender, who I was going to take Emiliano Martinez. I agree with you. I think he's going to be a solid goaltender in this league. An attacking midfielder, I was thinking along the lines of Phil Foden.
Yeah.
Coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And a couple of backup defenders. I was thinking of John Stones, and actually I was thinking of Diego Spoy and Wan Bissaka.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that does it for the Fantasy Premier League segment. That also does it for the Yellow Card Podcast episode 45. A huge shout out to our Twitter page. We're so close to hitting 1,000 followers. Thank you all so much for supporting this podcast. I know we've said this before, but 45 episodes and 1,000 followers, we were never even thinking to be that close at all. We were thinking more like maybe half that way, more like 450, if that.
I didn't think we'd get 1,000 followers, period. I won't lie to you.
I didn't think so either. So again, thank you all so much for riding with us, believing in us and listening to us every week. If you're not following us, follow us on Podcast Card on Twitter. Make sure you find us under the YouTube channel of Couch Guy Sports. We're there with our video podcast. And we're also on Spotify and SoundCloud, working on iTunes as well. So until next week, signing off, your host, Diego Galvez, Chris Jones, Andrew Fasciano. Fellas, we'll be back for episode 46.